so that it is synchronized between them. So if you have any problem, please put in the uh, chat box itself. Okay. So why? Because when I'm delivering my lecture, I am in the flow of explanation, right? Yeah, don't think in another way. So let us start. Yeah, yesterday we have got the conclusion about the intrinsic semiconductor, that is generation and recombination. So why we are using semiconductor is, so this is a good example. Okay, so coming to the silicon. Okay, so for generation of electron hole pair, we require 10 to the power of 12 atoms. But coming to the copper, so to generate one electron, we require one atom. So that is the difference why we use the semiconductors, right? So why? Because we can have a control about the material, that is using silicon or any semiconductor device, isn't it? So if you use the conductors, so you can't control about that one. Okay. Now let us have the next concept is, yeah. So far we have discussed the intrinsic semiconductor, about the conduction mechanism what we have. So coming to the impure semiconductors, that is extrinsic semiconductor. So we have a p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor. Okay. Now let us see the uh, two types. What are the mechanism of conduction of the charge carriers in both the cases? That is p-type and n-type semiconductors, right? So let me take the first one. Yeah, that is p-type semiconductor. That means the majority carriers are nothing but holes. So how you get the p-type semiconductor, and what are the necessary conditions to fabricate the p-type semiconductors, right? So here p-type, in the sense you can use, yeah, you can see the list of elements you can use. Those are having trivalent atoms. That means their valence electrons, isn't it? Right? Trivalent. That means outermost orbit, which are free. See, you can see the three electrons in the outermost orbit. Okay. So these are the responsible for the electrical conductivity of p-type semiconductors, right? So you're saying impure semiconductor. Okay. Now let us take the two elements. So basically the default one you can choose, that is silicon, right? So coming to here, so what is this? You take the aluminum or boron or gallium, so which are having the trivalent atoms. Okay. If such type of atoms are duped with any silicon or germanium, so what happens here? So let us see the mechanism. Okay. So taking the trivalent atoms, right? So contains only 3 electrons in their outermost orbit. Okay. Now let us see the uh, mechanism, what is happening here. Now if you look at here, so coming to here, p-type semiconductor. Okay, right? So you have a silicon atoms as usual. There you have a 4 valence electrons which are bound to the covalent, which have covalent bond with the other neighboring silicon atoms, that we have seen yesterday. Same process you have. If a trivalent atom, let us say aluminum, isn't it? So who's having the 3 valence electrons in their outermost orbit? If you dupe, if you dupe a aluminum trivalent atom with the silicon, so this gives the structure what you have here. Okay. So if the aluminum atom is surrounded by the silicon atoms, isn't it? Because of aluminum is a having 3 valence electrons in their outermost orbit. Okay. So there is a one deficiency, that is electron, to form a covalent bond with the silicon atom itself. That means you can say this aluminum is nothing but it is a acceptor atom. Okay. So there is some vacancy here. So how to fulfill this one, isn't it? Okay. So this is very weak bond, we can say. So it is, when you apply some energy, it easily breaks, right? Now if you have the clear picture, isn't it? If I take the aluminum alone, you can have here, see here. So here you can have one deficiency, that is presence of hole, isn't it? There is no electron, we can say it is a vacancy. That vacancy you can say it is a hole, that is positive charge. So this is nothing but incomplete covalent bond, we can say, right? So why you're saying p type is, isn't it? So there is a deficiency of electron. So when the electron is out of the covalent bond, you can say it is a positively charged, isn't it? So we can say it is a aluminum is a acceptor atom which accepts the electron from the other neighboring silicon atoms. You are getting? So we can say it is a acceptor atom. So always it looks, it wants to some electron to bond the covalent bond with the silicon atoms. Always. So what happens here? If you suppose this electron which is breaks the bond comes and fill it here. Again, there is a deficiency of one electron here. Okay. Now another electron tries to occupy this vacancy. Again, there creates some vacancy here, isn't it? So whole this is a chain process happens within the material itself, isn't it? So that's why we can say here the majority is nothing but here the number of electrons is not equal to number of holes. That means always one hole will be more as compared to the electrons. So we can say that it is a p-type semiconductor by doping a trivalent impurity atoms either to the silicon or germanium atom. So once you look at the energy band diagram, it will be different. It will be different from intrinsic semiconductor. So you already have an idea about that. You have a valence band and the conduction band, right? So in between that, you can have a gap is called forbidden gap or energy gap. We can call it as, okay? But you have a dotted line here. You can see the dotted line. So this is called Fermi level, which is exact between those of conduction and valence band. We can't say exact, but it is middle way between the conduction and valence band. Okay, so you can see the acceptor level here. So what this mean is that, okay, so above valence band, there is another level called acceptor energy level. So why we call acceptor level energy level? By because the atoms which are doped, that is trivalent atoms are called acceptor atoms. That is, there is one deficiency in the outermost orbit, that is electron. Okay, so what happens here? The extra, this is the holes what you have is, they firstly occupy in the acceptor level, isn't it? So this is not a, there is no breakage of bond here, isn't it? There is no, you're not applying at any, no energy here. It is 0 Kelvin, isn't it? So this is considered at 0 Kelvin. So it behaves like this. So what happens here? These holes, that is a vacancy, first occupies in this all acceptor level. First, this acceptor level is completely filled with the holes. Why? Because in p-type semiconductor, the majority are nothing but holes, isn't it? There is always a deficiency of electrons. So what happens? These vacancy first fills the acceptor energy level. See all here. Suppose if you apply any energy, some external, if it is T is greater than 0 Kelvin, okay, either thermal or doping. So what happens here? They gains the energy, they jump from this acceptor level to the conduction band, not directly from valence band to conduction band. Please, I repeat the sentence. Okay, suppose if you apply any external field, what happens here? The holes which are present in the acceptor layer first jumps from here to conduction band. Okay, so what it becomes here? There is a negatively charged, that is negative immobile charge atoms are present here. Why? Because when the hole goes from here to the conduction band, there creates a negative immobile atoms. Why? Because you have acceptor atoms, isn't it? Okay, we're getting this. So here, this is the way what you explain the conduction mechanism in the p-type semiconductor. So in p-type semiconductor, the impurity atoms are nothing but trivalent. Okay, Okay, so here there is always a deficiency of one electron in p-type semiconductor. That's why we call it as a positive type semiconductor. Okay, now let us have the other type. uh, 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 so let me take the clear picture of the material what we have here. Okay, so here you can see here, this is a material what you have. So the majority carriers, you can have the positive charge we can have here, and you have the magnetic charge carriers, those are electrons. And you can say, just now I said na, negative immobile atoms, ions are present, so are not atoms, it is negative immobile ions are present. Why? Because in the previous case this will be jump, these holes jumps from here to conduction band here. So what happens, they create some ions, that ions are nothing but negatively charged, isn't it? So that's why I'm showing here. So this is called acceptor ion. Okay, that is called negative immobile ions. So we can say this acceptor ion are created by the doping impurities, doping atoms. So what are, just now we have taken aluminum. So aluminum is nothing but a acceptor atom, isn't it? So in acceptor atom, if the positive charge goes, the remaining will be the ions, isn't it? So that is called negative immobile ions. There is no use of that one. Just they are immobile. That's why I'm saying negative immobile ions. Okay. So this is about the p-type semiconductor. Similarly, if you go for the mechanism in n-type semiconductor, so this already you know, when you apply the external field, so what happens, the positive is connected to here and negative is connected to here. Due to the positive potential, what happens, okay, the electrons move to this side and positive move this side here. But there is no mobility of immobile ions, isn't it? Okay. Now next, coming to the n-type semiconductor, so we choose such a metal, those are called pentavalent atoms. That means we have 5 electrons in their outermost orbit, isn't it? So you can see the list. First is arsenic, antimony, and phosphorus. Okay. So these three have pentavalent atoms which are doped into silicon or germanium atom, isn't it? So in the previous case, you have only 3 atoms in that one. So there is a one deficiency, but here you have an extra electron, isn't it? To form the bond with the what is that, impurity atoms. So let us see what is the structure and energy band diagram in n-type semiconductor. Now you can see the same figure, but it is you having the extra here. Now if you can say that this is a donor atom, so which are donor atoms, which are pentavalent atoms, so those are called arsenic, phosphorus, isn't it? So if you take the phosphorus atom here, if the phosphorus atom is doped with the silicon, so you have a 4 electrons of outermost orbit of the phosphorus is bond with the silicon, neighboring silicon atom. See, you have a 4 atoms. So this is bond with the neighboring silicon. So here also neighbor silicon. So here also, here and here also. But coming to the pentavalent, because phosphorus is the pentavalent, so you have 4 atoms paired with the neighboring silicon atoms. So there is only one is left over. Okay. So that's why we call it as a donor atom, isn't it? So one electron is left because all 4 are bond. So there is a majority carriers in n-type semiconductors are electrons, and the minority charge carriers are called holes. So coming to here picture, you can have understand here. So see, all the 4 electrons are paired with the neighboring silicon atoms to form the covalent bond. Okay, but there is a one electron which is free electron. Okay, now coming to the energy band diagram. So just what you have observed in the p-type. So in n-type semiconductor also, there is a level which is bottom of the conduction band. So we call it as a donor energy level, isn't it? And as usual, the difference, the separation between the conduction and valence band is called forbidden gap, or we can call it as energy band, energy band gap. We can say simply the band gap. Okay. Now you can see the Fermi level is very near to the conduction band here. Okay, so in previous also, but coming to the figure, so this is very close to the top level of the uh, valence band. There is a Fermi level here. Okay, so that is the difference. But in intrinsic semiconductor, this Fermi level will be exactly midway. See, exactly they have a midway, isn't it? I'll show that one. Okay, it is not mentioned in the coming concept. I will show you. So why we also have to find the what is the position of the Fermi level in intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, now let us continue with the previous one. Yeah. Now see here. So as usual, so the energy level diagram of the n-type semiconductor you can see here. So this is the donor energy level, which is exactly bottom, that is bottom level of the conduction band. So what happens here? So you can see the dotted one. So those are called free electrons. So where you got these free electrons from here? This one, which are free in the crystal. What happens? They first completely fill the donor energy level here. Okay. So below that you can see the Fermi level, right? In p-type semiconductor also you can see the top layer of the valence band is called acceptor energy level. In the same way, in n-type also you can have the bottom level of the conduction band is called donor energy level. So what is the purpose of this is, so these are due to of what? Donor atom, that is phosphorus atom. So once you apply some external field, what happens? These atoms directly jump into conduction band and they create some positive immobile ions, isn't it? Why? Because these are the electrons which are jump into the conduction band. They creates positive, that means immobile ions, isn't it? So all we can call it as a acceptor ion, sorry, donor ions, isn't it? Suppose if you apply an external field, what happens? These atoms, these electrons jump into the conduction band and they create some ions here. Okay. Now if you increase any temperature or any applied, if your applied energy is increased, what happens? Slowly, so the electrons which are present in the valence band, that means these bond will break. If you apply more energy, isn't it? This bond will break and there is a conduction from valence band to conduction band directly, isn't it? Okay. So in n-type semiconductor, we can say the electrical conductivity is due to donor energy level, that is due to free electrons, isn't it? So in n-type semiconductor, the electrical conductivity is due to electrons, isn't it? There is a small negligible current due to holes. In same way, in p-type semiconductor, the current is due to majority carriers that are nothing but holes. There is a negligible current due to minority charge carriers, those are electrons. That is the difference. So once again, you keep it in mind. So in n-type semiconductor, isn't it? The conduction is due to electrons, that is free electrons. Okay. So when you increase the temperature, what happens? Slowly the bond breaks here. The electrons jump from valence band to the conduction band, which is very negligible. So we can say in n-type semiconductor, the current is due to these donor atoms only. Okay, right? It is clear? Okay. Now coming to here, so in n-type semiconductor, just now I said, na, so these are called positive immobile ions, isn't it? And the majority carriers are nothing but electrons, and the minority charge carriers are nothing but holes, isn't it? Now, when you apply some external field, so what is happening here, isn't it? So here, due to positive, the negative becomes attracted to the positive potential, and the holes will be attracted to the negative potential. So this is about the n-type semiconductor. Okay. Now, so here let us find. So this is about the just I want to give the structure and energy band diagram in both intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. Okay. Now let us have. Okay. Now let us have the just we have done the intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. Okay. Now let us calculate the estimation of charge carrier concentration, isn't it? So to find the concentration, first we choose the intrinsic semiconductor. So in intrinsic semiconductor, so we can say the number of holes present in the valence band is equal to the number of electrons present in the conduction band. That already we have proved, isn't it? Okay. Now let us prove that some using some mathematical expressions. Let me have that one. So please, all of you, I request all please take your books, and I'll show the how to calculate the density of holes in the valence band and the density of electrons in the conduction band. Please, all of you copy. I'll explain step by step mathematical expressions. Very easy. If you know the first, you can solve the second one very easily. So let me have present that one. So all of you put the heading estimation of carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductor. Once again, I repeat, estimation of carrier, this one, the first heading, estimation of carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductor. Okay. So in this estimation, we choose two parts. One is finding first one, concentration of electrons in the intrinsic semiconductor, okay, and also the concentration of holes in the intrinsic semiconductor. So as usual, you know that the number of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the number of holes in the valence band. Just you have to prove at thermal equilibrium, you have to equate both the equations. So let me present that one. Okay, please, all of you start note it down. Very simple. Uh, in other books, you have a bigger derivation. Just have taken the simple steps to solve that. So that's why I have written it with my handwriting. Okay, I don't have anything in my house. So just I have by handwriting, I have solved that one. Please, all of you, the first one, put the heading estimation of carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductor. So in that, let us find the concentration of electrons in intrinsic semiconductor. So all of you, it is visible to you.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, please copy. Right. So first, put the heading concentration of electrons in intrinsic semiconductor. Right. Okay. Now, please let me explain here. So you have a diagram here. Okay. So this is the valence band and this is the conduction band. Okay. So the separation between the conduction band and the valence band, you can have the energy gap, which is represented as Eg. Just now I said na,
You can say energy gap, band gap, forbidden gap. It gives the same meaning. Okay. Now you can see here uh, there is a dotted one which is called Fermi level, which is represented as EF, Fermi level. Okay, I'll tell you later how to find that one. So which is exactly between the conduction band and valence band. We can say it is middle. It is a midway between the conduction band and valence band. And other side you can see here. So just now in just like in N-type, P-type, we have a donor and acceptor, but intrinsic we don't have that one, isn't it? But we concentrate only at temperature. So maintaining the temperature at T is equal to 0 Kelvin, you are maintaining it, isn't it? At T is equal to 0 Kelvin. So you can see here, this is the energy at the top level of the valence band, that is called EV. EV is nothing but, you can have, EV is nothing but energy of the valence band at the top layer, top level, this one. Okay. Similarly, EC is nothing but energy of the conduction band, which is the bottom of the valence band, that is represented as EC. Okay. And you can write this is the infinity, so it is has infinity. So I'll tell you what is that meaning, the limits, isn't it? Infinity means, see, I want to explain what is EV. EC is nothing but, so here in the valence band here, so when we move from here to bottom, what happens? The density of electrons will be decreased here. That's why most, that is density maximum electrons are occupied at top level of the valence band. That's why we have mentioned that the energy should be chosen at the top layer of the valence band. Similarly here, we can choose the concentration of more electrons which are excited from the valence band will be concentrated mainly here on the bottom level of the conduction band. So when we move from here bottom to the other side, upward transition here, the density will be very less. That's why we choose here. EC is nothing but more concentration of excited electrons will be present here. When we move from here to other, it will be decreased. Similarly here, the maximum concentration of electrons will be more here as we move from downward to other side. So that's why we prefer here EC here, that is bottom level, and EV is nothing but top level of the valence band. It is clear? It is clear?
Sir, your volume was too low, sir.
ఉన్నారా నాయనా మీరు?
Sir, your volume is low, sir.
నేను చెప్పేది
Volume, sir.
నేను చెప్పేది వినబడుతుందా మీకు?
చాలా లోగా వినపడుతుంది సార్.
ఇందాక మంచిగా ఉందా అలా?
స్టార్టింగ్ బానే ఉంది.
ఈ టాపిక్ స్టార్ట్ అయినప్పటి నుంచి
ఇప్పుడు లో ఉందా? ఫస్ట్ నుంచి లో ఉందా?
ఇప్పుడే లో ఉంది సార్, ఫస్ట్ బానే ఉంది.
నా మొబైల్ వాడుకుంటలే నేను. ఓకే రైట్.
Okay. See here. So we can donate that EF is equal to Fermi level. So all of you take this diagram at 0 Kelvin. I'm speaking at 0 Kelvin here. Okay. Now let us assume that let NE is the number of electrons per unit volume or the density of electrons in the conduction band. Okay. To calculate that, we have to frame one equation. So let us see the equation here. Okay. So where NE is nothing but integral of, which has a limits from EC to infinity, isn't it? That is Z of E into F of E into DE. Make it equation 1. Okay. right? Now here, okay, all of you copy this equation 1. I'll tell you how you got this one. Okay, so where Ne is nothing but density of electrons in the conduction band. Okay, so what is the use of this one is you have a limits that just now I said na. So what is what you have? You are considering this conduction band we are speaking about. Why? Because the density of electrons will be in the conduction band. So in valence band we have the number of holes. That means holes are present, right? So when the electron jump from valence band to conduction band, here the electrons will be more concentrated here. So that's why we have concentration, that is concentration of electrons in intrinsic semiconductor, isn't it? That is particularly in conduction band. That's why we have EC to infinity. Just now, that's why we are apply some limits. So more concentration will be here. Okay, when you move from here to other side, it will be less. So we can say it is infinity. Okay, now making use of these equations, now where Z of E is nothing but number of possible energy states per unit volume per unit energy range. Okay, right? Please all of you copy this one. So Z of E is nothing but number of possible energy states per unit volume per unit energy range. Similarly, F of E is nothing but Fermi, actually Fermi Dirac distribution, that is. So we come under, that is statistical mechanics. So we have three types of statistics. So one of them is nothing but Fermi Dirac distribution. So making use of that equation, so we can write Fermi distribution function or probability of finding a energy state of particular, sorry, the probability of occupation of energy state, that is called FFE. So where EC is nothing but energy of the bottom level of the conduction band. This we are speaking about. Okay, bottom level of the conduction band, right? Okay, now what is the energy of the top level of the conduction band is nothing but infinity. That's why we have applied the limits. Okay, right? Now let us have, so let us have the number of energy states per unit energy range per unit volume. That is, you are going to find Z of E. Okay, so here in the first equation, if you know the Z of E and F of E, you can find the concentration of electrons in the conduction band of intrinsic semiconductor. To find this, you have to first calculate the value of Z of E and F of E. Okay, now as per the here, the number of energy states per unit energy range per unit volume, that is Z of E is equal to, this is a direct equation. Please all of you copy. So we can write 1 by 2 pi square into 2m by h bar square into 3 by 2 into e to the power of 1 by 2. So this is the direct. So to find that, you have to go to the density of states in statistical mechanics. So this is a direct expression. So we have chosen from that one, right? So now finally what, just rearrange this one. So what happens here is, so instead of h bar, what is the value of h bar? H bar is nothing but h by 2 pi. The value of h bar already we have solved in quantum mechanics. H bar is equal to h by 2 pi. So you substitute in this. So finally you get 4 pi by h cube into 2me. So you have a symbol that is asterisk of 3 by 2 into e to the power of 1 by 2. You make it equation 2. So what is this? Me is nothing but effective mass of electron near bottom level of the conduction band. Okay, so what is effective mass? And you have effective mass of holes also will come later, right? So we have a separate concept of effective mass, isn't it? Just you are rearranging, instead of this you are putting 2me, right? So here, so you got the second equation. Okay, now let us find f of e, that is Fermi distribution, right? So all of you copy this one up to equation 2, make it fast. Okay, now let us find the f of e. Okay, now since, so there is some condition here, since the energy of the bottom of the conduction band is not zero, so then putting E minus EC in place of E, just you replace in place of E, that is E minus EC. So what you get in equation 2, just this is a equation what you have. Lastly, what you have, E to the power of 1 by 2. Instead of that, you put it E minus EC. So you make it equation 3, right? You make it equation 3. Okay. Now next, the Fermi distribution function is given by directly. This is also a Fermi-Dirac distribution function. So it is come under statistical mechanics. So here you can write f of e is equal to 1 by e to the power of e minus ef. This is called Fermi level by kt. K is nothing but, what is K? So it is called Boltzmann constant, where T is nothing but absolute temperature. So plus 1 is equal to equation 4. So you got equation 3, that is Z of E, and you also got F of E. So substituting equation 3 and 4 in equation 1. Okay. So what you get here, that is density of electrons in the conduction band is equal to, so you have the integral, that is limits from EC to infinity. Okay, so you substitute all the values in equation 1. Okay, so finally what you got, Ne is equal to, just you bring this integral constants to the forward, and you make the integration of this one. So what you got here, just E minus EC to the power of 1 by 2 by E to the power of E minus EF into KT by plus 1 into DE. So this is the equation 5. Okay. Now applying some conditions here. So what are those conditions? Let me look at here. Okay. Now here, since KT is approximately 0.03 electron volts, so E minus EC is very nearly, that is 20 times greater than that of KT. Okay, so we can say that this one can be neglected from the denominator of RHS of equation 5. Why? Because E minus EC is much greater than KT, so one can be neglected. So finally what you get here, okay, 4 pi by h cube into 2me into 3 to the power of, 3 by 2, integrate from EC to infinity. So just you expand, you bring this to upside. So you get EF minus E into KT by DE. Just bringing this numerator into denominator, right? So what you get here, same, continue the same equations, just you expand this one. That means adding and subtracting EC. Adding, see here, adding and subtracting EC. So what you get here, you take separate terms in this. You split this into two parts, right? So what you get here, 4 pi by h cube into 2me to the power of 3 by 2 limits EC to infinity, that is E minus EC into the power of 1 by 2. So taking this 2 into 2 parts, this term, that is E into EF minus EC by KT into E to the power of EC minus E into KT into DE. Just adding and subtracting EC, then you're making into two terms, isn't it? Okay. So what you have is that, please keep it in the mind, the value of Z of E and F of E. Once you know the value of Z of E, S V, just for mathematical expressions, you can solve this one. Okay. Now what happens here? You got the equation here. So let us move to the next. Right. So we are coming to the conclusion now. So we have the condition here. So let E minus EC by KT is equal to X. Just you are putting that one. Okay. So I'll show once again. So you have here now, taking this term EC minus E by KT. You are assuming that this is some X value, right? So what is that here? Right. So assuming E minus EC by KT is equal to X, or E minus EC is equal to KT into X. So you differentiate that one, that is KT into DX. Okay. So so what happens here when you apply root here? E minus EC to the power of 1 by 2 is equal to X to the power of 1 by 2 into KT is equal to 1 by 2 for equation 6. Okay. For equation 6, just you take the square root on both sides, isn't it? So for limits, when you apply the limits, when E is equal to EC, then X is equal to 0. Okay. Similarly, when E is equal to infinity, X is equal to infinity. Right. So putting these values in equation 6, so we get here, okay, not in equation 6, in equation 5. Sorry, this is in equation 5. So what you get here, okay. So here what you get, 4 pi into h cube into 2m into 3 to the power of 3 by 2 e to the power of ef minus ec into kbt. So here limits changes, that is ec to infinity is there. So you're putting from 0 to infinity. So what becomes here, x to the power of 1 by 2 into e to the power of minus x into kt into 3 by 2 into dx. Okay. So you have the some direct solution here. So that is limits from 0 to infinity, x to the power of 1 by 2 into e to the power, this term, okay, this term becomes under root pi by 2. Directly you can substitute this value. Okay. So this is a direct formula. You have an idea, you have done in intermediate so many solve the problems here. Okay. So instead of this term, you put it root pi by 2. So when you substitute this value in above equation, so you get here, right? So you get pi by 2 by 2 into e to the power of ef minus ec by kt. So finally, you get the here the density of electrons in the conduction band of an intrinsic semiconductor. So you can have final expression like this: 2 into 2 pi me kt by h square all to the power of 3 by 2 into e to the power of ef minus ec into kt. So this is the final expression for concentration of electrons in the conduction band of a intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, this is very clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
మీరు నోట్ చేసుకుంటున్నారా, స్క్రీన్ షాట్ తీసుకుంటున్నారా?
Noting, sir.
Very good. Using technology, right? Anyway, you have to get thorough in that one. So whatever the procedure, I don't mind that. Right. Now, let us find the same. That means here, the concentration of holes in the valence band of a intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, let me come back. Yeah. Now this, what you have the same here. Now you are finding the number of holes. Why? Because the electrons are excited to the conduction band. So the remaining will be the holes. Now you have to find the concentration of holes in the valence band of an intrinsic semiconductor. Now you have to choose this the bottom one. So far we have discussed about this one, that is EC to infinity. Here EV to infinity, isn't it? In the valence band. Why? Because most of the holes are present in the valence band here. Now let me take the same here. Same simple, just if you have idea. Now here, if an electron from the valence band is transferred to the conduction band, so here hole is created. So we can say the hole is the state of energy. So in valence band, which is unoccupied by electron. So I'm not talking about recombination. I'm talking about generation here. Yesterday we have spoken about the generation and recombination. So that's why I have underlined here. The hole is the state of energy in the valence band, which is unoccupied by the electron. So generally what happens if there is any vacancy? So the electron which is in the excited state, that is in conduction band, it tries to occupy, comes to ground state, isn't it? So we are concentrating about the before the recombination. This is speaking about only generation, not the recombination. If there is a recombination, the electron the electron and hole will be disappear. There is no concentrations. That's why before recombination, that's why I'm mentioning here. So here the hole is the energy state in the valence band, which is the unoccupied by the electron. So keep it in mind, this one. Okay. Now let's same expression what you have is f of e is the probability for state of energy to be occupied. So in previous case, what happens? The electron goes to the conduction band. That means it is occupied. The electron is occupied. Okay. But here, what happens? The vacancy is as it is. There is no electron come from the conduction band to the valence band. If there is more, we can say it is occupied. So we are speaking about f of e is the probability for the state of energy E to be occupied. Then what will be the probability for the state of energy E to be unoccupied is 1 minus f of E. That means before recombination, it is unoccupied. The hole is unoccupied. So we can say 1 minus f of E. Isn't it? That is only difference between in the that is electrons in the conduction band and the holes in the valence band. That is 1 minus f of E. So we can write here the density of holes in the valence band can be write n suffix h. H is nothing but density, hole we can have. That is for representation. So what are the limits here from minus infinity to EV? Just now we said na. So why? Because it valence band is very the other side. So we can mention it is a negative infinity to the maximum level, isn't it? That is the difference what you have here, right? So what it becomes z of E. So instead of f of E, put 1 minus f of E. That is unoccupied probability of that is state of energy that is unoccupied. That becomes 1 minus f of E. Put it equation 1. Now let us find the value of z of E and 1 minus f of E. If you know the two values, you can get the density of holes in the valence band. So same way, so we have EV is nothing but energy at the top level of the valence band, and minus infinity is the energy at the bottom of the valence band. But because it is most least, that's why we put negative term, that is minus infinity. Okay. Now how can you write 1 minus f of E? That is, you already know the value of f of E. What is that? 1 minus 1 by e to the power of e minus ef by kt plus 1. Okay. So on simplification, you got this one. Again, here e minus e to the power of e minus ef by kt is very much less, isn't it? As compared to 1, you can omit the denominator, not the numerator. We can omit the denominator. So let us see the condition. Let us see the condition here. Since in the valence band, that is E is very much less than Fermi level. So hence we can write E minus EF is a negative quantity, and e to the power of e minus ef by kt is very small in comparison to 1 in denominator, not the numerator, this one. So you can omit, isn't it? So e to the power of e minus ef by kt by 1 will become. Okay. Now finally what you get, 1 minus f of e is equal to e to the power of e minus ef by kt. You make it equation 2, right? So here from equation 2 it is clear that okay, so in valence band e is very much less than ef. Okay, so already you have this one. Okay, so the function 1 minus f of e decreases exponentially. That means as we move from top level to the bottom level, the concentration of holes will be decreased. That is exponentially. So that is the meaning of that one. So the value of z of e near the top of the valence band is given as same, isn't it? That is 4 by h cube into 2mh, isn't it? Mh is nothing but effective mass of holes, which is near to the valence band, that is top level of the valence band. So what is the difference in that is that just you put it instead of EC, you put it EV minus E all to the power of 1 by 2, right? Okay, so you put it, this is equation 1. So what is equation 3? You got equation 2, equation 3. Okay, substituting equation 2 and 3 in equation 1, you get the density of holes, isn't it? So let me show that one. Okay, now where MH is nothing but effective mass of holes near the top of the valence band. Same in similarly what you've done in the electron self. So using 2 and equation 3 in equation we get substituting the values. Okay, you slowly substitute here, right? You can substitute here. Same, applying the integral from minus infinity to EV. Okay, just you are substituting these equations, right? So bringing this constant to the forward, same as usual what you have here. Okay, now once again adding and subtracting EV, isn't it? Same there what you are done, adding and subtracting EC, here adding and subtracting EV. That's why at the first lecture I said if you know the first one, easily the second one will be calculated, isn't it? Now what happens here, splitting into two terms, isn't it? This factor will be split into two terms. So what you got here, e to the power of e minus EV by kt into e to the power of EV minus EF into kt into dE. So make it equation 4. Okay, similarly same. Okay, so EV minus E by kt, assume it is x. There E minus EC, EC minus E there. Here EV minus E by kt is equal to x. Okay, so EV minus E is equal to ktx, differentiate, right? You got minus dE is equal to kt into dx. Okay, so dE is equal to minus kt into dx, right? Now squaring on both sides of this equation, what you get, same expression, that is kt all to the power of 1 by 2 into x to the power of 1 by 2. Now applying the limits, when E is equal to minus infinity, it becomes x is equal to plus infinity. Similarly, E is equal to, when E is equal to EV, then x is equal to 0. Okay, now apply the limits and putting the values in equation 3. So what you get, sorry, equation 4 you got. So you get what, same, apply here, that is infinity to 0. So again, add x to the power of 1 by 2 into e to the power of minus x into dx becomes the value of what, under root pi by 2. Once again, this term becomes pi by 2, root pi by 2, isn't it? Once you can cross check the limit from 0 to pi, x to the power of 1 by 2 into e to the power of minus x into dx becomes under root pi by 2, right? So applying here same, you get the same equation, that is 2 into 2 pi mh kt by h square all to the power of 3 by 2 is equal to e to the power of ev minus ef by kt, that equation 5. So what is the difference between the Ne and Nh is, here the mass of the effective mass of the electron, here effective mass of the holes here. So that is the difference. So you got the both the equations. So this is the equation for represents, equation 5 represents expression for the concentration of holes in the valence band of an intrinsic semiconductor, right? So you also got here, this is the expression for the concentration of electrons in the conduction band of an intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, both equations you got. So whenever they ask in exam point of view, please estimate the carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductor. So in that case, you have to use the two derivations. That is, you have to find Ne and NH also. Okay, if they ask particularly to solve the carrier concentration in carrier concentration of electrons in intrinsic semiconductor, you have to write the first derivation. First derivation you have to solve. Okay, if they ask estimation of charge concentration, both derivations you have to solve it. Keep it in mind. Okay, so if to get this full marks, this is the procedure what you have. Okay, and finally, just I want to find the Fermi level. Okay, so Fermi level, where it, how to find the position of a Fermi level. Just now you have EF now in the diagram. Okay, so how to find the position of that Fermi level in intrinsic semiconductor? By using some mathematical expressions, you can find that one. Simple, very simple. It will come in 2 minutes, right? Now let me explain that. In intrinsic semiconductor, please all of you put the heading Fermi level in intrinsic semiconductor. This is most important. Okay, so in intrinsic semiconductor, we can say that the density of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the density of holes in the valence band. So by using that at thermal equilibrium, and speaking about T is equal to 0 Kelvin, we can equate, that is Ne is equal to NH. That is equation 1. Now you substitute the value of Ne into NH here, same, what you got, Ne, NH, right? So cancel off the common terms. So you get Me into these expressions, you'll be the common terms, isn't it? This will be cancelled. Okay, so rearrange the equations. You bring all these terms to the side. This term, e to the power of EV minus K by KT brings to the LHS. Okay, so what it becomes, e to the power of EF, and becomes mH by Me to the 3 by 2, bringing this effective mass to one side, other exponential terms to other side. Now what happens here, you make it into one factor. In previously you have split it into two terms. Now make it into single factor. So what it becomes, e to the power of EF minus EC plus EF minus EV by KT. So this will be the same term, RHS will be the same term. So you what happens, you make it there, finally you got e to the power of 2EF minus, you got EC minus EV by KT. So these terms will be the same. So taking log on both sides, okay, taking log on both sides, we get what you get. So 2EF minus EC by EV by KT is equal to 3 by 2 log of MH by ME. Okay, now on further simplification, you got here, so it's bringing this KT to the RHS side. So you got the expression here. Now finally, you are going to find Fermi level, that is EF. Now let us simplify that. EF is equal to EC plus EV by 2 plus 3 by 2 KT log of MH by ME. This is the Fermi level equation. Fermi level equation in intrinsic semiconductor. Now we can say that effective mass of hole is equal to effective mass of electron. That means the density of electrons is equal to, in that one case. So here, so the log term becomes 0 here. Okay, so what is the remaining term? Equation 2 becomes EF is equal to EC plus EV by 2. So we can say that the Fermi level is exactly midway between the conduction band and valence band, isn't it? We got EC plus EV by 2. So this is mathematically proved, but let us figure out. See here. So what you are showing here, that's why the initial I said that this Fermi level is exactly midway between the top level of the valence band and bottom level of the conduction band.
Just
Just we have proved this is will be exactly midway. This is possible only intrinsic semiconductor. Why? Because number of electrons in the conduction band is equal to number of holes in the valence band. Okay, so this is a position. You find the position also and expression for that one. Okay, so you also find the here not only the position, also you have formulated the equation how to find the Fermi level in intrinsic semiconductor, right? So this is about the intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, so this is the expression what you find the Fermi level in intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, today you have derived the three equations. One is density of electrons, one is density of holes, and you're finding the Fermi level. These are the most three important regarding the intrinsic semiconductor. So in every exam, in every semester, they are to ask these derivations, right? So once you practice at home, you'll get very easy. Just applying some simple steps. I think you are very familiar in solving the mathematical expressions, isn't it? You have M1, M2. You are very far in that one. So in the next class, let us discuss the N-type, P-type. What are the density of electrons and what are the density of holes in N-type, P-type, and also Fermi level. The Fermi level is very different as compared to intrinsic semiconductor. Just now I said na, in N-type semiconductor, the Fermi level is very near to the top level of the valence band, right? The same way the Fermi level will be different, that is bottom level of the conduction band. So there will be different and also exponential decrease. Okay, so for today, so you have completed the intrinsic semiconductor. On Monday, we'll have to find the density of N-type and P-type. Okay, so let us take the attendance.